on behalf of Darlene Bonapane in connection with the liquor license located at 303 Main Street in North Reading. Basically, my client had every intention of buying and redoing the entire restaurant, knocking down the building and putting in a new one. But at the time which they purchased the property, they thought that perhaps it was possible that they would continue to run the restaurant in its present location under the present name. So they applied for a transfer of that license and did in fact receive it. My client had absolutely no luck generating interest in trying to get somebody in there to run the business at all. And he thought, you know, it's going to be better to just raise the building completely, put in the new restaurant, and not trying to generate income to get through the tough economic times. And as you know, he had raised the building about a year and a half, maybe even close, about a year and a half ago. Mm-hmm. He had raised the building completely in a hope to generate some additional interest to get a restaurant in there. And in fact, we have secured a lease with a new tenant who would be a restaurant. The restaurateurs who actually are part of the group that are going to be establishing this restaurant do in fact have other restaurant connections and other restaurants in the area. And we've signed a lease with them, and based on the fact that it's going to be a new manager, it's going to be a new location, it's going to be a new building, which is going to require a complete new inspection by the ABCC, we all did also think it was in the best interest to just have a brand new license instead of trying to transfer a license, because everything's new yet again, and that's basically why.
So in this process, when the new applicant comes forward, they will be asking for the license in their name or in the...
Yes. They'll be asking for a license in the name of Great American Tavern, and I'm not 100% sure which principal is going to be the manager, but yes. Yeah. And
and they'll be leasing this property, so the license will be in their name, not in the
landlord's name, no. The liability for that.
Jeffrey.
Yes, Mrs. Mann, I couldn't tell by the letter who you were actually representing, because everybody...
Darlene.
I'm sorry?
Darlene Bonapane.
You are representing her.
In the restaurant, the group that owns the property is called the Village Shops. The original group who owned it was DOB Realty, and it just is, you know, it's basically a name change, trying to keep an entity that was a sole purpose entity for owning this particular parcel. So I represent the group, if you will. So I represent Village Realty and Darlene Bonapane.
Oh, okay, so...
I do not represent the new...
you don't have anything to do with the new restaurant, what was it, GAT?
Yes, no. The Great American Tavern, I don't know if you're familiar with Michael Newhouse. He'll be the attorney who's going to be representing that group, and I believe he had to wait until this board accepted my my letter saying, look, we're not going to seek renewal, we're done with our license, so that they can come in. Once that happens, because it's filed now online, we have to have actually met with you before they can even file, because I believe it's pretty, I mean, I've never filed online yet because it's only a few months old, but it's pretty instantaneous. It goes right to the ABCC, doesn't it?
Yeah. We don't know about it being foolproof, though.
Well.
Don't we still have to hold a hearing?
There will be, on the new license, you will have to hold a hearing.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Notification to abutters and everything.
Okay. But no hearing required to dissolve the license.
Nothing's owed to the town on the current license, correct?
That's correct. And the fact that the license is being voluntarily surrendered means that no hearing is required. If you were taking a revocation action, then certainly it would require a public hearing.
So I've got a question.
Mr. Briscoe.
Since I'm new at this, I just a couple quick questions. When a license is accepted and granted, they pay for it, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So there is no reimbursement when they come back in early? Okay. All right.
Even if we
would be
did it back.
renewing them in December.
And then the last question I had, Greg, you had mentioned that we have a limited number we can grant.
Right.
We're under that limit.
Right.
So this goes back into the pile.
Correct.
And we pull a new one out.
Yeah.
This becomes a new one.
It's part of the quota system that the
Yep.
state has.
How many do we have left, do you?
I don't recall off the top of my head in terms of the number
more
that
than
we
one,
have
right?
left. I could find out for you.
Yeah, I thought I talked to Ms. Marlin about it, and I thought there were a number, 3 of them? Okay. She knew that it was more than two. She wasn't with this kicked back, I wasn't 100% sure.
And you think, timeline-wise, in the next month, we'll hear from the new owners of the
Oh, I
restaurant?
bet you here in the next couple of days.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
they
that's, yeah.
That's a key to them,
Yeah, no,
no license, no restaurant probably.
I only bring it up because, you know, the holidays are coming, and
Mhm.
and then we get into our budget stuff, along with a few other things, and
Well,
I
we're
bet-
gonna, you're gonna sit through, coming up in a few weeks,
Right, our agreement,
signing all the licenses for everybody in
Yeah.
town.
and our agreement with the entity GAT is that they come before you immediately and apply and have their license processed before the end of the year.
Steve?
Yeah, we can only issue one license per address.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's the
That's
issue.
why we're,
That's the issue. All this is,
Right.
they're notifying us that they're not seeking to renew the license, they're actually giving it up sooner rather than later.
yeah, because we'd like them to apply
Right,
immediately and
Sooner rather
let
than
them
later.
pay for it.
And then this frees up that location for another liquor license under another entity.
You're correct, yes.
so you,
And so the only thing that I would ensure is that when they apply, the lease agreement is intact and a done deal.
Oh, it's done. We
Okay,
have our
good,
money and
that's-
we're waiting for them to just apply
Okay.
and they can submit to you.
So this, just following the protocol in order to free it up for the new licensee applicant to get the license of that location.
That's correct.
so,
So, makes sense to me.
so when we could possibly address it, you're thinking roughly is gonna be the 6th meeting of December? Because then the abutters have to be notified, and we're gonna have a hearing on the 6th, is that?
Well, no,
it
it's when
depends
they
on
apply.
Depends on-
What I was saying was that we go through the annual, in December, we go through the annual review of licenses.
Right.
Which will be many.
But it's incumbent upon the new applicants to get the timing, as far as what the timing is. And it's, and indicating as far as all the applicable laws are met as
Yeah.
far as notifying abutters. So if it goes into the new year, it goes into the new year.
Yeah.
But the fact remains that this location would then become available for a pouring license. So it's up to the applicant to get the ball rolling. We'll just react to it once it comes in.
And I'll push him.
Any other questions?
Other than progress on the building is
It looks
moving
great.
along.
Doesn't
It's
it
coming
look
along.
great?
Yep, coming along, and that's good. And the anticipated timeline?
We're hoping they open for the spring, so.
Yeah, okay.
Because once we finish, they go in and they do their fit out. That can be a little time consuming, but they moved in, we kind of scheduled it with our lease. They've already started some of their work because they had to do, for restaurants, you have to put stuff inside the flooring to do the floor drains and all of the ventilation. So they're working in tandem with us.
We are so pleased to see that kind of
Activity.
activity
Kind
and
of
growth.
progress,
know.
that's good.
We're hoping for
It gives it a
more.
little sign that we
Any
may
other
be,
leases, just as an aside,
rolling on.
any other leases on the property?
A lot of interest, but no
Okay.
leases yet. Once you see the activity, it's amazing what happens. But if anybody's interested,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you.
Prisco?
Mr. Chairman, I move to discontinue the common particular all alcohol license for Sopak Inc., Darlene Bonapane, doing business as Restaurant Daniela, 303 Main Street.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Prisco, seconded by Mr. O'Leary. Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Excuse me. Next item on our agenda is the transient vendor license. Representative here for that. At the podium. State your name and address for recording secretary.
Beat me up, I'm new at this, I've never done this, so. My name's Chris Labo. I reside in North Reading at 14 Foley Drive. I work at 28 Main Street, which is where we're proposing to sell these Christmas trees. It's a Christian organization for kids, that's why we're selling them. And that's, what else would you guys need to know?
In reading through the documentation, this organization does this in other locations too, is that true?
No.
No?
No,
Okay.
they're just, it's a outreach program, you know, to like inner city kids and so forth like that. What we propose to do is, after selling the trees and so forth like that, it's more of an advance for kids that don't have the funds to go on, you know, a Christian retreat for a couple days.
Okay, so it's being held as essentially a fundraiser.
Yeah.
you said that you guys have done this before, though?
Actually, we have.
That was my question, and then you said,
Oh, I
Oh, no.
apologize.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to help you out.
Me personally, but the same.
I said the organization, so.
Yeah, I think you got confused, that's all.
I don't know what event they used to. This is the outreach chapel, as far as the Christian organization. I don't know what was the organization before that put it up for it. That was the program, whatever. But I know at 208 Main Street, they did that about a decade ago, about 10 years ago.
Mr. Bell, go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman, we could find no record of this organization being affiliated with any sales in the town.
No, the impression I got was they had done it in other locations, not necessarily in.
Communities.
Correct.
Other communities.
Other communities.
Yeah, no, I don't believe, could be wrong, I don't believe that they have ever done that as far as an outreach program or anything.
So this is the first time they've ever tried to use this type of a
Yes.
fundraiser to collect money?
Yes.
Okay. Which brings me to a lot of questions, but I'll only ask a couple. I have to assume you're gonna have trees delivered, so there is a process for unloading, and that's a Main Street area, so I'm not sure how big that area is to unload big lots of trees. And then it's the disposal of the trees after the holidays are over that don't get sold and things like that. So I assume there's some kind of a process, and I'm not sure if we have some restrictions we put on it. So the stuff isn't laying around, blowing around the streets, and some kind of control.
Great question. We have a flooring business there. Everyone that's going to be helping out unload and obviously get rid of the trees after we're done is charity, just helping out. We have dumpsters and so forth like that we can do it, and we also recycle. So if there's any way we can put that into play, would do that. So I don't think we should be a hindrance to you guys in any way as far as that goes. It's a warehouse. It's a big property with. We have a lot of fences in areas too as well.
Well, that was gonna be the other question. You're gonna have a temporary fence put up in the area?
Well, we actually already have fences put up just for the property, so, yeah, that's pretty much what we're gonna do is line up the trees along the fences and stuff like that, and, you know what I mean, so we don't have to have such, I know a lot of places will put them on spokes or stakes and stuff, but yeah, we have a lot of fences on the outside areas so that people can come in and do that.
Anyone else?
Who's actually going to be selling the trees? What are the hours you intend on running?
I'll be there, and it'll be just weekend hours and so forth. I'm not really trying to make, it's all going to charity, so I can sell the trees pretty inexpensive, and everyone's gonna be helping out. It's gonna be just, no one's gonna be getting paid or anything like that. It's just gonna be donating time and stuff like that. So I'm just doing it on the weekends,
What hours?
Friday to Sunday, from like 9 to, say, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. I wasn't gonna make a business out of it, just kinda on the weekends, trying to help some people out and stuff. A lot of times when people show up and maybe, they don't look like they can afford it, we usually have fun with them, and give trees away for free and stuff like that.
So I guess this leads to a question that I have. You're working at a company that's allowing this to occur for this
Correct.
nonprofit. Now, is this a registered nonprofit?
Yes, they're registered with the state.
So the funds are going basically directly to the nonprofit,
Correct.
and they're meeting their state obligations associated with taxes and filing of their chapter. Jeffrey?
Yes, you mentioned that it will be fenced in.
Well, I mean, besides the exit and entrance, it's right next to Joker's Wild. It's a flooring company that we have, but there's fences on both sides, say like the east and west, and then they can pull in, and the back's all fenced up,
And you're gonna be selling them on weekends, correct? What about in the evenings when no one is there? Is this gonna be a locked fence? Are you able to lock the fence so that no one can go in there?
like steal them or something.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we're not gonna have them locked down. I have family that lives on site, if that helps out. But I wasn't gonna lock up, Main Street, for the trees. We can have the trees put in the warehouse